of the key opponents of the EC's campaign was the National Democratic Congress, and a key member of the party who has also been taking issue with the approach of the Electoral Commission is a man representing the people of Ningo Pram Pram, who is a member of the Communications Committee of Parliament, Honorable Samuel Nate George. He's joining us on the line now for some analysis of the EC's announcement tonight. Honorable, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you very much, Maro. Good evening, and good evening to our listeners.
Good evening. Indeed, the Electoral Commission is almost trying to say that give its tone back to it, and that what it has been warning against is what is happening now. Minors showing up in all queues across the country seeking to register, and this is because they do not have the Ghana card to verify and authenticate them. We are having to rely on the old system of guarantor, which is proving problematic.
Do you believe the AC?
Go ahead, I'm listening to you.
I'm asking because, first and foremost, we would proceed on the basis to interrogate this if the EC has any credibility. And if Jane Mensah and Bosman Asare have any credibility left in them, but they don't. The claims they made, did they show any proof or any evidence? Did they show you statistics to back their claim that minors are showing up everywhere? I mean, with a greatest of respect, the EC has engaged in a lot of lies and rumor mongering and false disinformation and misinformation. And I mean, would Bosman Asare, when he was a lecturer at the University of Ghana, say that he's going to sanction the stripping naked of all students who came to to write his political science exam because 2 students were caught with foreign materials on them? I mean, that's the logic he's espousing. Forgive me, but it's a very stupid logic because it's highly unintelligent. And for people who run our electoral commission, you expect a better level of intelligence and candor from them.
Let me just be sure, because of how people may interpret things. When you use intelligence here, you are not referring to wisdom, correct?
I actually am referring to the dictionary definition of stupid.
But why would you be using that on air, describing other people? I was hoping that that's not what you meant.
Why should we have a problem with it? The definition of stupidity is behavior that shows a lack of good sense or judgment. And the definition of stupid is having or showing a great lack of intelligence or common sense. And if you look at what the Electoral Commission of Ghana is doing, led by Jane Mensah and Bosman Asare, it lacks common sense and shows a lack of judgment and a lack of intelligence. In 2019, the Electoral Commission registered 500,000 people, 500,000 in 2019. They used 1,500 centers across the country to register 500,000 people. Then the same Electoral Commission comes to tell you in 2023 that it is going to register 1.35 million people, more than double, almost triple, 260% more. But this time, it is not going to use the same 1,500. It's not going to increase it, but it's actually reducing it to only 268 centers. Does that show you common sense? Does that show you judgment, a sense of judgment or intelligence?
Honorable Sam George. Honorable Sam George. I think my platform is uncomfortable with the use of that word. Could you kindly withdraw that so we can make progress?
Why should I withdraw the fact? No, Umaru, I have asked questions. I'm saying that.
No, I just think that.
The EC. No, Umaru, I'm speaking English. If you can point out what is wrong with what I have said, that the Electoral Commission, the same Electoral Commission, registered 500,000 people with 1,500 centers, and now says they are going to register 1.35 million with 268 centers. Is that showing common sense or intelligence? It's a question I'm asking. Leave your listeners to answer it. Except your platform endorses the lack of common sense that is being shown. Then take a position as a station.
Honorable Sam George.
Look, we need to be able to...
Honorable Sam George. Honorable Sam George.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, my big brother. Let's not drag this. So please do not... So just withdraw those words so we can...
Unfortunately, I can't withdraw it.
Okay, so let it be on record that we do not approve of your use of those words, and I will not accept that you use them in our subsequent conversations.
It also is going to be put on record that your platform is endorsing the disenfranchising of Ghanaians.
That's no problem. I
hold the view that what is being done lacks wisdom and intelligence.
I urge you not to repeat that, because if you do, we'll be unable to continue with the conversation. Thank you. Let's talk about the issue of the minors. The only way it can be cured, according to the EC, if we have this legal document that says that the person is 18, which can be proven, there's biometric and all of that. And yet people who are below 18 are being paraded. And because we are relying on a guarantor, these people are entering and going onto the electoral roll. The EC says that is wrong. You are saying that that justification of the EC, which is using to support the request or the demand for the Ghana card to be the sole document, is not right.
Umaru, how many people have shown up who are minors and it's been proven that they are minors? The EC claims that they've registered 600,000 people. Out of the 600,000 people, how many minors have shown up to be registered? And if the system is such that it is able to detect that they are minors, then it tells you that the system is working. The guarantor system is working. And that the checks and balances put in by the political parties are working. If the minors were slipping through without detection, then you will tell me that there is a problem. But if there is a system that is able to detect it, common sense, once again, will let you know that you don't have a problem. And if you look at the EC's own statistics that they put out, and again, I'm going to reference the EC's own documentation. This is something they put out about a week ago. It said that 62.83% of all the registrants registered using the guarantor system. Only 36.76% of registrants use the Ghana passport, and 0.41% use the Ghana card, and 0.41% use the passport. So let me ask you, is the Electoral Commission saying, is Judgement and Bosman Asari saying, in all wisdom and intelligence, that 62.83% of Ghanaians who are eligible to be registered and given a franchise per the Constitution of Ghana are not deserving because in their in their own wisdom, those persons cannot be registered if they did not have a guarantor? I mean, where are we going as a country? Look, I will repeat it on your platform that Jimensa and Bosman Asari constitute the biggest threat to Ghana's democracy. And we all have a responsibility, including you, the media, to call them out and demand better of them. Because this democracy is the reason why you are able to sit behind the console and broadcast to the country without fear or favor. If we lose this democracy because of the intransigence and recalcitrance of two individuals to run our democracy down, we will all have questions to answer to generations unborn. Explain to me, Umaru, how a card that has not been handed over to all Ghanaians who are eligible can then be the basis for a proper registration exercise. How wise is that?
The Electoral Commission has set a target, and it says it has met 80% of these targets that is set for itself. And the deadline for registration is still some 3 days or 4 days away. What that means is that those of you who were demanding that the registration centers be opened up do not really have a point, or the EC has been vindicated in its position to limit the limited registration exercise. What do you say to that?
Umaru, like you said, you are my brother, and I know your level of intelligence. I'm a bit disappointed that you regurgitated the very unintelligent position put out by the Electoral Commission. Very unintelligent.
So
the Electoral Commission. Hold on.
I think we just have to end this conversation.
Umaru, hold on. No, listen.
On condition that you're going to withdraw that word, and we can have a conversation.
If you don't let me land, how do you determine whether what I am saying?
I have seen where you started from. You've done enough of it. Honorable Sam George.
The very wise decision of the Electoral Commission. You're happy with that?
That's sarcasm. It's fine. Go ahead.
So the very wise position of the EC that you seem to support says that they've registered 600,000 out of their initial projection of 1.35 million. That is 44%. And they are patting themselves on the back.
It was an initial. It's good you said. It's good you said. No, just a second. You said you have used the word initial projection, which means the projection has been reviewed. You sit in Parliament where government comes with projections every year, which projections are reviewed in mid-year budget. So if the projections are reviewed, the new projection is what you work with. The EC's new projection is what it's working with, and it says it has covered 80%. I'm not sure you are the one who set goals for the EC on how to do its registration, are you?
Umaru, the government of Ghana comes to Parliament with revisions on the back of empirical evidence. If you look at the Ghana Statistical Service data, Ghana Statistical Service data from the census that was carried out, we should actually have about 1.8 million eligible registrants in this year's registration. 1.8 million. So even the initial estimation of 1.35 is way off 460,000. And this is not my figure. I'm using Ghana Statistical Service. Now, if the EC decides on their own, all-knowing and all-wise, decide to drop from 1.35 to 600,000, and Umaru, you think we don't have a right to question on what basis? On 800,000. We don't have a right to question on what basis the revision was done. Why? Have 400,000 Ghanaians or 550,000 Ghanaians died or evaporated into thin air? On what basis did they reach the 1.35 in the initial instance? How then have they dropped it? This is akin to Bosman Asari student at the University of Ghana writing and sitting an exam, which is supposed to be graded over 100. The student goes in because the student has been very shambolic in his preparation for the exam, scores a 30%. Then the student decides that, look, the grade point, the student, will go into the system and change the grade point from marking it, weighting that course exam over 100 to weighting it over 50, so that my 30% that I scored over 100 becomes 60%. Would Bosman Asari accept it? If he wouldn't have accepted that as political science lectures, you don't expect us as Ghanaian citizens to accept that level of wisdom and intelligence coming from them. We won't. So you cannot tell me they've achieved 80% of anything, because what they have achieved is 44% of what is even a lower estimation per the Ghana Statistical Service. Can the EC show you what data supports their claim of only 800,000 eligible registrants? And if they show you, ask the EC on what basis they have the initial figure of 1.35. This is the same electoral commission that changed the declaration, the results of the 2020 presidential election 6 times. When you have an electoral commissioner who is efficient in figures and numbers, you have a problem. You have a problem.
All right.
Because Umaru, don't forget, the budget that was approved for them was on the basis of 1.35 million registrants. That's the budget that was approved for them. Have they refunded to the consolidated fund and the taxpayers of Ghana the excess funds? Because funds was released for them on the basis of the projection. When they come to Special Budget Committee of Parliament, we ask, before we approve anything, it is based on specific numbers. So tell Bosman Asari and Jean Mensah that they owe the people of Ghana a refund if they have revised down the numbers. Because what Parliament approved for them and what was released to them was to register 1.35 million people. They cannot on their own wake up and say, we'll do 800,000 and spend the same amount of money. They should forget it. We'll hold them accountable to it.
Let's leave it here. Thank you so much. That's Honorable Samuel Nate George, is NDC Member of Parliament for Ningo Pram.